are here today with Mr. John Schaefer. He was a colonel in the United States Marine. We're looking through his resume. There's different titles. We're going to talk about his story, what he's been through, and just the overall journey from where he was and where he is now. So, Mr. John Schaefer, when you were a kid, high school, college, what were some of the dreams that you had?
Well, I think like every kid, I could probably think of a lot of things, but I think most fundamentally, what shaped my dreams of the future was sort of a difficult upbringing. So, in a home where, it wasn't the particular, most healthy environment to grow up. And so, in a very practical sense, some of my dreams were really oriented around sort of escaping that and a vision or a dream for a better place to be in my life, to build a family that was healthy and happy and sort of a normal family, if you will, and to be part of something that was based in the values that I saw outside my home that I really longed for, and that's probably ultimately what drew me to an organization, for example, like the Marine Corps, where the summation of the values of that organization is honor, courage, and commitment. And so to me, where I lack that in sort of my upbringing in my home life, I saw that in little spots at school and in sports, out in the community, and that really was, it may sound kind of different, but my dream wasn't so specific about, I want to be a fighter pilot or an astronaut or a football player, but rather more around, creating a meaningful, happy life. And how could I be able to do that? And so that was really my dream, ultimately. And then, I had lots of, smaller goals that I wanted to try to achieve along the way, but most broadly, that was really important to me.
Were there any like mentors or teachers or just, yeah, coaches, people that you were like, I want to be like him or her?
Yeah, for sure. And I know that's a big part of sort of quarterbacks for life and beating the odds is the idea of teamwork and finding people who care. And so I consider myself when I was younger, a really shy kid, kind of a bit feeling sheltered. And so I had some teachers that I'm so blessed and feel so good that really saw something in me. And in particular, I had a sixth grade teacher, and he really probably was the first one who kind of got me to get out of my shell a little bit. And he coaxed me into getting to play ice hockey. I grew up in Minnesota, so it was a popular sport there. And I told him, I remember at the time, I said, I really appreciate that. I would love to try it. But I live like an hour outside of town, and my parents both work, and I don't really have a way to go to practice or to games. And I'll never forget it. He came back to me the next day and he said, you know what, I want you to be able to play, and I'm willing to drive you to and from practice every day or whatever's necessary so that you have the opportunity, to try this sport and to make it have an impact on your life. And I think back, I mean, at the time I knew that it was really something incredible, but I look back at it now and I think that was one of those seminal moments that maybe did change the trajectory of my life, where I saw, and then, I got into that sport. I learned the value of teamwork. I worked hard. I got better. I earned a most improved player award at one point that made me feel really proud. It started to help me to gain confidence. And it also confirmed to me that there's people in the world that care and they want to make a difference. And if they see a difficult situation or someone that needs help, they reach out and they try to provide an opportunity for that person. And so I'm very blessed to have had someone like that person that saw that in me. My family didn't have really the means, for example, and I knew that early on, to help me through college. And back then, I think there wasn't a lot of knowledge about how, scholarships or other aids or things like that. And so, the other person who aided me greatly was a Marine Corps recruiter that I talked to, and I was planning to enlist in the Marine Corps as a means right out of high school, thinking that I could get into that and then eventually save up or earn my way into college. And he got to talking with him in that process, and he said, "How good are your grades?" And I said, "I'm a straight A student, and I work really hard in school, and I work a job, all of this stuff." And he said, "You should apply for this scholarship," which was a scholarship through the Marine Corps for the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps and ROTC. And so he convinced me to apply for that, which I did. And based on my academics, my sports, and my leadership potential, I was thankful to be awarded that scholarship, which was amazing, and became a gateway to me for me to go into school and really launch the rest of my life in terms of the ability to do that. I was the first in my family to go and complete a 4-year college degree, which I was very proud of. But when you think about kids that come from less privileged backgrounds or maybe not as much opportunity, there really is a way. It's not always easy to see, but teachers, in that case, a person in a Marine Corps recruiter that saw something in me. I believe there's people out there today, and there always has, that are looking to help elevate people. And I was fortunate somehow to bump into some of those folks along the way. What I learned is, unfortunately, in my circumstances, I kind of became really good at survival, and I relied a lot on myself. And so one thing that I learned as I matured in my life was, you don't have to do it on your own. Like, sometimes if you hit a tough spot, you should reach out to people that care and love you, and they can uplift you and they can help you in those difficult times. And I think that's one thing that at times probably I didn't do enough, where I was struggling with something and I just kept trying to fight through it, kind of a thing. And, whether it's organizations like Beating the Odds, or whether it's friends, family, members at your church, good people want to help all the time, but you have to be willing to accept help. And from time to time, you actually have to ask for help, or guidance.
How would you describe a good leader of a team?
I think a good leader of a team is someone who really fundamentally cares and has passion about the success of the group of people that are part of that team, and really gets to know each of them to a level to understand that person, what motivates him or her, what are his or her strengths or weaknesses, how can that leader help each member of the team to get better individually, and then also to work better collectively, where you can harness the strengths and weaknesses and really coordinate that amongst a team. And I think, as you guys alluded to, a sports setting is, in many cases, a team sports setting is a great way to learn those life skills. And me learning that, whether I played football, hockey, ran track and field, any of those kind of things growing up in high school, it was a very easy transition then when I entered the Marine Corps, which was all about teamwork. And it was not about the individual. It was not about individual success. It was about team success. So I really, it was a natural transition for me from sports into the military, to the Marine Corps. And then really ultimately what I learned there about refining leadership skills and learning about adapting it in different environments then became incredibly valuable as I transitioned into the business world and took those same skills and worked to, formulate high performing teams in a business environment. And so I owe a lot of my success in those experiences that I had, and individuals that were part of that, where I learned and saw good examples of leaderships that inspired me to do well. And, I saw good and not so good. And then over time, I like to say I'm a lifelong study of leadership and the practice of leadership. And I believe in the power of it.
From the time that you were still in school, how did you keep that positive mental attitude to be able to excel in school, to get good grades, and then to keep, just keep having goals in mind even after that?
Yeah, so I think initially, school was an escape for a difficult home environment. So I guess in a very practical sense, if you like staying in a place that's, let's say, a little bit healthier and a happier environment, um, then I spent as much time in school as possible that I could, or in sports and whatnot. And the other thing is, I think when I say earlier that I was kind of a shy kid, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence early on. And what I think I found was, by working hard, I gained the satisfaction. Okay, here's something that if I've put my mind to it, if I put effort towards it, then the feedback to me is, hey, you did well. And, so just getting, sort of praise from teachers, being recognized for, working hard, being a good student. And so that building up of self-confidence inside of me, I guess, ultimately translated to where I got to a part of my life where I kind of thought, like, there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. If I plan, if I set goals, if I work hard, I actually began to believe that, pretty much anything was possible if I applied that type of approach.
So after the Marines, how did you decide and plan for what's next?
Yeah, so I think it was a couple different things. Is I always have been a person to kind of look forward into the future, and think about where I want to be at some stage in my life. And I loved my experiences in the Marine Corps. Actually, the first out of 22 total years that I spent, the first 6 years of my Marine Corps experience, I was in what's called active duty, so it was full time. And then when I was dreaming to do something different and transition to a different stage of my life, I was fortunate to be able to stay in what's called the reserve component of the Marine Corps, and I did that for an additional 16 years. So my total span of time was kind of a combination between full-time active duty and then reserve or part-time. But I think for me, it was how can I take the skills that I've learned and do something that will challenge me even more. And so I got to talking, interestingly, to a few individuals in business, experienced business people, and I was talking about my experiences in the Marine Corps and what I got excited about in life. And I loved working on teams. I love leadership opportunities. And I remember this gentleman said to me, "We need more people like you in business." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you. That's flattering. That's great to hear. What do you mean?" So I was curious to understand, because I didn't really know a lot about business at the time. And he said, "What you described in terms of the importance of leadership and teamwork, while we have that here and there, we don't have a consistently high level of that." And so, it got me interested in and intrigued about that. So I thought about it a lot, talked to some other people. And to me, that's where I decided, that was going to be an important part of my next journey, was going to be to try my hand, get off active duty in the Marines and try my hand at business. And then the other thing that I guess was a key component of that was, I was a young married person at the time. I didn't have children. And I saw the difficulties of my teammates in the Marines with raising a family, being a full-time Marine and being deployed all over the world, gone all the time. And I think between my wife and I talking about it, we said if we really want to start a family, it would be harder to do that in a Marine Corps environment versus, let's say, going into business and being around the home more. So that was definitely a component of my thought process as well.
Was there ever a time where you had that positive mental attitude, but something happens where you feel like you have to give up or you just can't do this? And if so, what did you do to get through that struggle?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like most people, I had my share of setbacks here and there along the way, and whether it was in school, I remember vividly that trying out for the varsity football team. I've always been a sort of a small guy. Back then I probably was 5'7", 5'8", 120 pounds, and so not your prototypical football player. And I remember the struggles of sort of lots of people telling me, hey, you're undersized. Football's not a sport for you. Come on, you're going to get creamed. And that type of thing. But I think at that time I had, I one of the ways I've kind of thought about my life is a sort of have a healthy chip on my shoulder, right? So when somebody tells me that, oh, I don't think you're really going to do well at that or be good at that, or I'm not sure that's the thing for you, or, even more explicitly, there's no way in heck you're going to be able to do that. It kind of fuels me because um, I'm interested in exploring my own potential as a human being. And that's always been an interest to me. And then there's that sort of a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. So I remember in that case, I tried out for the football team, and I was a pretty athletic kid. And what I found out quickly is size was not my advantage, but technique could be. So I worked really hard on speed and technique. And then, I actually got pretty good and made the team, and it maybe proved a few people wrong, and proved to myself that even though maybe at the face of it, that wasn't something that I could, that was, sort of logical or obvious, that I could, tackle something like that and actually be pretty successful at it. Sometimes it's about who or your credentials. Did you go to a really good school? Is your school good enough, or your academic credentials good enough? I know there were times along the way where maybe, I didn't get looked at, or didn't maybe be seen as having, the most obvious to be promoted and given other opportunities. But I think I just saw it as the ability to work hard, demonstrate results, prove yourself. And that's the best thing, anyone can do. And so I've always had that philosophy that just because I was successful in the past and I've accomplished things, that today is a new day and I have to prove myself today. So I have sort of this saying that I've saw somewhere along the way that I really like, which is earn it every day. And I believe in that. So, don't rest on your laurels, don't rest on your past successes, but really overcome whatever obstacles are in your way, and really earn that respect and earn why people want to work with you or give you an opportunity over, over someone else.
Yeah, that's a really good message because it's universal no matter what they're doing. That's something that's very helpful. When you see like the Beating the Odds organization, how important is it for for you to see like the different quarterbacks of life and what they do? What do you see in the organization that made you say, I want to be a part of this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, early on talking with got a chance to to meet Rocco and Scooter and Rocky Blyer, and just talking to these really incredible folks and what they're doing. I love the message, and I love at this stage of my life, I've been very blessed. I've worked very hard. I've been successful. I have a wonderful family and so many different things. And so increasingly, I've tried to sort of begin to look at how can I give back more? How can I contribute? How can I help others from the benefits that I've learned in my life? And so when I got to meet Rocco and Beating the Odds and this concept of quarterbacks for life, I thought, gosh, well, my story is different, just like everyone's story. I feel fortunate because I faced a lot of adversity, and I chose not to be a victim of my circumstances. And I found people that cared about me, like that teacher that, drove me back and forth to hockey practice. I found individuals that really wanted to help. And so now I look at it and say, I'm in a position now to do that. Beating the Odds is a great organization. They have a track record of success and a recipe that works, that's reaching out to young people to help them to see that there is a way, with the stepping stones. And to me, is working around, just meeting those guys. And I'm very honored that they would be interested to have me help out in the organization and see what I can do. And so I like being around other really interesting and incredible people. And this seems like a great opportunity to do that. So I'm very excited and feel honored that, Rocco and the team would have the faith in me to help out as part of the Beating the Odds cause and Quarterbacks for Life.
John, where are you now? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so these days I'm fortunate to lead a division of a larger company. We call it the aerospace division of TriMas Corporation, and it's a great challenge to have. It's an excellent business. We have about 700 team members, so it's pretty sizable, spread over 7 sites across the United States, and even some in across the pond in Europe even. And we're excited about what we're doing in helping the aerospace and defense industry, to build better aircraft and to support, the folks that want to fly places these days. So leading that organization is a great privilege and honor of mine. I work very hard to respect and look after that team and help them to develop and be successful in their own right. And I look at myself as sort of the shepherd to bring that along and, to do what I can to help develop folks and help them to be more successful. And the other thing I'm doing, to the whole point about earning it every day, which I believe in, is I also have some other personal endeavors to challenge myself. And so recently I've gotten into endurance running, ultra running. And so I like to say, even though I'm over 50 now, I'm in the best shape of my life, even compared to when I was in the Marines, actually. And I'm challenging myself, and I really find that one to be a great joy, to challenge myself physically and mentally to be able to, undertake 50, 100-mile type races. Right now I'm training for a 100-kilometer race in the mountains in August. So I'm working hard, and it doesn't come easy, but I love that challenge. And what I would say to people is, I'm a believer that just because you've achieved success, that it's better to always set new, tougher, more difficult goals in front of you, because it brings meaning to your life, and then it also makes you feel better. And so for me, I love that idea of a constant challenge in a healthy way. So whether it's my business and my personal life, where I can help others, I kind of feel like there's more of me to give and to do. And I can't ever imagine sort of slowing down.
Final words of encouragement to the students watching, where perhaps they're going through something similar and, maybe they just need to have something in mind to kind of help them get through.
Yeah, what's the one thing you want them to come away, they watch this, what do you want them to just remember you and your message by?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this, which is, I'm not more special than anyone else. I had my circumstances. It wasn't the worst out of anyone or the best out of anyone, but I consider myself sort of an average person. And what I would say to them is, if you believe in yourself and others will believe in you and will help you, then never give up, never relent, and constantly pursue those goals and dreams that you have. And if you do that, even though you're going to face some obstacles and setbacks along the way, that it is really possible to achieve success and happiness, however you define that, right? And I've been fortunate that I've been able to achieve a lot in my life thus far. But I'm not stopping. I'm not giving up. I'm still challenging myself. I'm setting new goals. So my message to them would be, you can do it. You have it inside of you. And people like me and Rocco and Beating the Odds organization, we care, and we want to help in whatever way we can to inspire you to realize your dreams and work hard to get there.